I'm glad to see you have all gathered here today to mourn the loss of our good friend. He was a great man, a wonderful man. He did so much for me. All the hours I spent with him, they're priceless. He will be sorely missed by me and every single one of you, I'm sure. Rest in peace, Kirby's Dream Buffet. You will be missed. Well, I was running a little late to the Kirby's Dream Buffet review party, and, it turns out the game is dead. I saw it coming, some of you probably saw it coming, but either way, Kirby's Dream Buffet is now a wasteland where maybe when you go online, you'll find 1 or 2 people who are willing to play with you. And sometimes you might get a full lobby, but don't count on it, like, ever. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. There's a time and a place for that later on in this video, and it certainly isn't now. But I'm sure, as you all know, Kirby's Dream Buffet is the Kirby game that recently just came. Oh my god, it's already dead?! Excuse me there. But as I was saying, Kirby's Dream Buffet is the Kirby game that recently just came out, and, I'm a little late. I know, as usual. But what matters is I'm here to review it, and we're reviewing it now. I definitely have some thoughts on Kirby's Dream Buffet, I'll say that much. So, allow me to explain why I believe that Kirby's Dream Buffet is indeed definitely a game. Or should I say, was a game. Upon opening up Kirby's Dream Buffet, you'll be greeted with the Kirby's Dream Collection. Oh, this is an original cutscene, my bad. So this cutscene explains the game's story, or should I say premise. You see, Kirby's got this fork called the Dream Fork, and, well, I don't know where it came from, or how he found it, but I doubt this has anything to do with the Kirby lore. And this fork somehow shrinks Kirby down to a small size, and Kirby starts rolling around on this food and getting his gross germs all over it. If you did not know any of this, I do not blame you one bit. None of this is explained in the game, and there's no manual to do the explaining for it, so, to find this information, I had to hit up the wiki. This is some true, secret, hidden Kirby lore right here. Only the masters will understand. Oh, and some other different colored Kirbys also drop out of the sky from somewhere, and, Kirby's just kind of stuck here in this purgatory where he's forced to roll around on food for the rest of his life. It's kind of dark when you think about it. This is some real Kirby lore. After that cutscene, you're thrust into this menu where you take control of Kirby and are allowed to select whatever option you choose, and, damn, those controls. I actually think they're alright. I've heard a number of people say that the game has frustrating or slippery controls, and, yeah, they kinda are that way, but personally, I think they work just fine after you get used to them a bit. To really get a feel for controlling Kirby and Kirby's Dream Buffet, you gotta put yourself in the non-existent shoes of a ball. Wait, what the hell is that even supposed to... Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is Kirby controls like a ball. For example, if there were to be a slope in his path, he would move up the slope much slower than he would going down it. I've also heard some complaints chucked at those really narrow paths, usually circular in shape, and how Kirby just keeps falling off of those, but honestly, just keep jumping and you'll be good. And even if you do fall off, you got the hover to back you up. Besides, they're just optional paths that might save you a little bit of time or give you some more strawberries. It's not too big of a deal if you don't take those. You could always turn the match around later on. So yeah, Dream Buffet's controls are alright in my book. I don't take any real issue with them. They work perfectly fine for me. Once you get to know them, then they're really not that bad. Besides, it's just like Fall Guys. Everyone loves Fall Guys, right? Right? And being a Kirby game, in order to give it more of its own identity, there are these things called copy food abilities, which are just like copy abilities, but they work differently, and also they're based on food now. Some can be exclusively used in battles, while others are exclusive to races, but there are also a handful that can be used in both modes. They're pretty good and add a decent amount of fun to the game, and I also really like how they fit the game's food theming. Some of the ones I can always rely on include Wheel and Jelly, while some of the less reliable ones for me include Tornado and Drill. And I guess maybe we could also lump High Jump in there as well. I barely use that because, what can I say, I'm a Kirby's Dream Buffet master! The bulk of what you'll be doing in Kirby's Dream Buffet is participating in online matches, which are comprised of 4 rounds, with rounds 1 and 3 being races, round 2 being, well, it's definitely something, and round 4 being a battle royale. Man, that sure does sound an awful lot like Fall Guys. I wonder what Kirby's Dream Buffet is taking inspiration from. Dream Buffet's racing is actually pretty good, as the courses are pretty well designed even if they're not the most memorable, and the controls really do lend well to the racing. I also like how you'll sometimes come across branching paths and you can choose to take the more risky path in order to get better rewards and maybe even get ahead in the race. It adds a good element of risk versus reward, which is something I'm always here for. The courses also look pretty nice, and I do like the food theming that they went for here as well. But for as much as I like seeing burgers and chocolate fountains being made into race courses, I wish I could just shake the thought of Kirby getting his disgusting germs all over this food out of my head, but it will never leave. I know no one's gonna eat this food, probably, but still, the fact Kirby's rolling around in this food, getting his nasty, gross, disgusting germs all over it, just, oh my god, no! However, the thing I like the most about the racing in Dream Buffet is the surprising amount of hidden depth you can find if you look hard enough. One of my favorite strats in the game is jumping off of slopes because it actually carries your momentum in the air and it lets you go faster for longer. In pretty much every single match I've been in, I'm like the only person doing this, but I mean that's not much of a surprise considering I am the Kirby's Dream Buffet master. They're just a bunch of Kirby's Dream Buffet scrubs, they need to get good. Luckily for them though, they can just buy my Kirby's Dream Buffet secret hidden tips, tricks, and strats from the Master Book, coming in stores soon. You better pick it up before it sells out. I suppose before we talk about the Battle Royales, I should talk about the second round in every match, which is, they're like these little mini-events in these small arenas, like, strawberries are dropping in teacups, or, kill all the enemies, you'll get a bunch of strawberries if you kill them all. Most of the time, these rounds aren't gonna end with you gaining over a dozen strawberries, and nobody ever seems to move up in the placements after this round. So I'm not sure why these exist. I guess there's like a little break between the races, but damn, these are just kind of here. I have nothing else to say, they're just here. Now we get to what is the final, as well as my personal favorite round in any Kirby's Dream Buffet match, which is the Battle Royale. The Battle Royale is exactly what it says on the tin. You and 3 other Kirbys are gonna duke it out in an arena, you can use copy abilities, and your main goal here is to beat the other Kirbys senseless, take their strawberries, and become the most morbidly obese Kirby of all time. Now that I think about it, Kirby's Dream Buffet is just a Kirby weight gaining simulator. Who would have thought? I swear to god if any of you got turned on by it. These Battle Royales are hectic, they're exciting, they're adrenaline pumping, these are just everything. Just because the races gave you the most crippling weight gain, it doesn't mean anything until the Battle Royale is over. You could become the smallest, scrawniest, skinniest, healthiest Kirby ever, just because everyone kept beating the crap out of you. So I found myself absolutely blown away by how good the Battle Royales in this game were. However, Kirby's Dream Buffet has more than just online, because there's also single-player content, local multiplayer, and some collectibles as well. The main crux of Dream Buffet's single-player content is pretty much just doing online matches, except with dumb CPUs. Even on the hardest difficulty, these guys are kinda brain dead, so it's not too fun. You can also select individual rounds, but the catch is, you don't actually get to pick which course or arena you get to race or fight on, so I don't know who is benefiting from not being able to select which course they want to race on, but it severely hampers the game's replayability, I'll tell you that much. And it really sucks too, because once I found out how much depth the racing in Dream Buffet had, I was really looking forward to see if there were going to be some sort of time trials or an online leaderboard with a bunch of hackers at the top, but alas, there is none of that. Even the game's local multiplayer has problems. Granted, they're not like gameplay problems, but why the hell can't any additional players change their costumes? Why are they randomly decided? That's so stupid! The last single-player mode is a free rolling mode, where Kirby's plopped into this giant area, and you can look for these treats with, like, references to Kirby games on them, but you can also test out copy abilities and all that other stuff. It's cool, but you'll probably go in there for like 5 minutes and then never come back again. The only reason I came back is because I had to grab footage for this video. Yeah, Dream Buffet's single-player content is lacking, to say the least. But the game's collectibles kinda raise up the single-player, just a little bit, not by much, but it's something. The main collectibles this time around are these treats, and depending on your position when you win a match, you'll be awarded 1 to 3 of these. They're similar to Planet Robobot's stickers because they're just Kirby PNGs, but this time they're slapped onto treats, so it's different. But they are kind of fun to collect, and it's pretty cool to be able to decorate the giant cake on the menu with whatever ones you like. You can also select one as your starting point for each round, so any Leafan fans, please rise up. We need more for the Leafan army! The ranking system from Kirby Fighters 2 also makes a return here, except this time they added like 30 more ranks onto it for a game that has much less replayability than Kirby Fighters 2 ever did. But here you'll unlock the same stuff you would in Kirby Fighters 2. You'll get stages, music, costumes, all that good stuff. It works well, even if it did become a lot more tedious to grind for. I also like the game's customization features because the costumes look really good, although there are some that do look ugly as sin, and I also do like the colors. It reminds me of the spray paint from the flagship games. Also, Mint Chocolate Kirby is the best Kirby. If I'm wrong, please try to start an argument in the comments. I need all that viewer interaction, please. Alright, and with that, I think we've touched on basically every aspect of Kirby's Dream Buffet. Yeah, it's a pretty good game. Pekachow, out! Holy dead game, Batman. Looks like there was one fatal flaw with Kirby's Dream Buffet I forgot to mention, and that would be the fact that Kirby's Dream Buffet is just kind of a dead game.
Pekachow, what are you saying? All online games die out eventually. The online can't stay up forever. Why are you holding it against Kirby's Dream Buffet?
I have a couple of reasons for this, and reason number one is because Dream Buffet's online just didn't last long enough. For the game's first week, I think Dream Buffet was actually a pretty popular game, and I would very rarely see a lobby that didn't have 4 people in it. But in the present, Kirby's Dream Buffet is, as I said, a desolate wasteland where it is very difficult to actually get a full lobby going, and from here it will only get worse. Look, I know online Kirby games don't tend to stick around for very long, but even Kirby Fighters 2 seemed to have a longer lifespan, and that costed $5 whole more. But why don't I consider that to be a major problem with Kirby Fighters 2? Well, the reason is simple. Kirby Fighters 2 just has more quantity and quality when it comes to its single-player content. I've already complained about Dream Buffet's single-player content, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but really, that's kind of all that's going to be left for the game going forward, considering the online is pretty much empty. Even now, I sometimes find myself loading up Kirby Fighters 2 just to have a good time. The game is just a blast to play, and I love experimenting with all the different copy abilities and characters and learning new tricks. But in Dream Buffet's case, the game just becomes a lot less fun when all you really have to go up against are brain-dead CPUs. I still have a lot more grinding to do on Kirby's Dream Buffet before I hit that glorious 100%, but after that, I don't think I'll be playing this one all too much, especially when there's better Kirby games on the Switch. Kirby's Dream Buffet suffers from the case of having great gameplay, but really limited and lackluster content that the gameplay is utilized in, and unfortunately, I think that makes it one of the weakest offerings in the Kirby franchise. Granted, I'd still say Kirby's Dream Buffet is like a 6.5 out of 10 game, which is above average in my books, so I think that's a testament to how good Kirby games usually tend to be, even the worst ones rarely dip below that. Yes, I don't think any Kirby games get worse than below average, so Kirby Slide. Say what you want, but at least the card's cool. So yeah, would I recommend that you get Kirby's Dream Buffet? If the game sounds like it's worth $15 to you, taking all the online stuff away, then yeah, I'd say go get it. Or if you're like a Fall Guys fan, like a massive Fall Guys fan, yes, do check this out. This is your kind of Kirby game right here. But otherwise, I really hate to be negative on this channel, especially when it comes to Kirby, because I love him so much, but honestly, probably no. I really don't think it's a bad game, but I think there are better things you could probably spend $15 on than a game that has passed its prime. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Kirby's Dream Buffet. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike, I guess. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I would recommend subscribing and checking out my Twitter. I have a link in the description. Yes, I know my online presence has been a little lacking as of late, but it's something I'm really looking to change considering the Kirby Iceberg is almost a year old at this point, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, so nothing else to say but Pekachow out!